y'all, welcome to the April reading wrap up. This one might end up being shorter because I feel like I got way less books read in April than some other months. And I want to kind of do this one a little bit different. We're going to do like the thing at the beginning where it's just like a breakdown, I guess, a stat breakdown, and then we'll talk about the books. I won't, I think, go into some of them because they just, yeah. I talked about them in the vlogs, and then some of them, like if I just didn't like them, I'm not going to talk about them all that much because I don't want to ruin other people's opinions if they maybe might actually like them. I don't want to make people jaded toward the books. Let's end the rambling though and just start the video. Okay, so the stats, like we said, April, I read a total of 10 books, or I finished a total of 10 books. There was 2 others that were started. One overlapped. That's all. So for them though, there was 2 4.5 stars, 3 4 stars, 1 3.75, 1 3.25, 1 2.75, and 1 DNF. That is a maybe later, possibly more than a DNF. I don't know yet. Of the formats of these, look at my notes, we got 2 only audio, 1 physical, 1, they're 5 mixed, 1 is mixed with ebook audio, and 4 that are audio physical mix. Sorry for the cat plastic bag noise. She's moved on at least, but if you heard it, I'm sorry. Okay, so of the 2 4.5s, one of them was A Frugal Wizard's Guide to Medieval England, right? Yes, I think so, by Brandon Sanderson, which was the April Secret Project 2 release. I did a spoiler-free video on that one, so I won't talk about it too much. It was fun though. I didn't quite like it as much as Tress. That's the slightly lower rating, but it was a fun time, and the artwork was cute. It was so cute. I don't know, it's just something about the character, but our main character wakes up with absolutely no memory in medieval England, as the title suggests. I can't give too much away. You don't know his name. You don't really know his age. He's average male height, build, age range. I don't know what average age range is, but they're there. And he wakes up, he has no memory. He doesn't know why he's there. He doesn't actually know where he is at first either. And the book goes from there on his little adventure of finding things out. It is definitely different. It is a very different take on things, and it has the guidebook as the book within the book, and that is funny and hilarious. And the audiobook is narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. Kate Redding's part is only the Wizard's Guidebook, and it's just hilarious in those mannerisms. So yes, I do highly recommend checking out that one. Okay, so the next book would be my physical audio mix of The Darkening by Sonia Mara. This is the Fairy Loot copy, and that Fairy Loot has announced that they will be doing an edition for the sequel book, which I would like to get to. I really would, and it looks like it's probably going to be pretty. And I just want answers as to what exactly happened at the end of the book and how things are going to move forward for our characters. This book, though, it follows Vesper Vale. Oh, and I gave it a 4 stars. Okay. As you will see through Vesper's point of view, through the whole thing until like the last few paragraphs. Yeah, there's that. Okay. I shouldn't have said that. But we're following Vesper Vale as she is the daughter of failed revolutionaries, according to the description. She has lived her whole life in the 5th district, which is kind of like the slums of the city. And this city is surrounded by a magical storm. And every few years, generations, it gets smaller. Like it talks about their kingdom used to be very, very large. But the storm keeps encroaching and keeps getting stronger. And the rulers actually are getting weaker and dying sooner for reasons that I won't say, but you'll find out pretty quickly into the book. It starts off I won't say it starts off quickly, but you get a sense of who Vesper is very, very quickly. Like, her goal is to help people. She wants to help people. That is what she wants to be able to do. She wants to be able to have this magical force called iconomancy, which her dad is actually like a revolutionary in another sense of that. Like, he created his own icons in his own form of this magical speech. He was just masterclass at this, and the fact that he was a revolutionary for something kind of probably doomed a lot. And I love, though, the aspects of hidden history, because that's always one of my favorite things in fantasy. As Vesper is trying to figure out a way to free her father, figure out a way to stop the storm, learn iconomancy herself, because her father never let her, because he knew how dangerous it could be. And yeah, the things she uncovers, the things you find out, the way this wraps up and ties into the ending, wonderful. From there, though, I went to my next, also physical audio mix, which was Cruel Illusions. Beautiful edition, and that is the best thing I can say for this book. This one was the 2.75 stars, and if it hadn't been for the audiobook, I would not have finished. Yeah, the audiobook is legitimately the only reason I finished this book. It's supposed to be like Buffy vibes and something else. I don't remember what it said. It was a mix between. But we follow our main character, Ava, whose mother was killed by a vampire, even though most of the world doesn't really believe vampires exist or magic or anything like that. Her parents were magicians, like performing magicians, not like real magicians. So she, wants to learn magic. She's brought into this magical show, and they say that, oh, hey, they hunt vampires too, and they'll train her. So she goes off with these groups of people she doesn't know. She leaves her little brother with their foster parents, which that was a great situation, though. He really was in the best place he could be. But like the whole beginning of the book, she was so upset that he seemed happy in this foster situation with this foster family. Like, the lady was even wanting to adopt both of them, even though Ava's 18, and she still wanted to adopt both of them. She loves them both. Ava was just so, yes, they'd had bad situations, so she was just against everything. She couldn't trust it. I do understand that. Okay. But just, oh, boo-hoo, that why doesn't Parker want to spend time with me? Why can he be happy with this? I'm glad he's happy with this, but I wish he would be just, want to do with me, want to do our traditions. I just could not with her. And this love triangle they did later, which is ick. It felt forced. Even with the writing, it felt forced. So, okay. And that's all I'm going to say about this book, because I don't want to jade anybody else's opinion about it. Are there vampires? Sure. Is there magic? Uh-huh. Vampires, though, don't expect them for a very long time, so there's that. And yeah, this was a thing. It's a standalone, though, so at least you'll only have to read these 500 pages once. It was way too long. Next, I actually did a reread of The Hobbit, which is not included in any of the ratings or anything like that. I listened to that one in a car trip to go see my parents because I didn't have any other audiobooks at the time, so I just listened to that. And it was fun. There was things in it that I definitely did not remember from when I'd read it way back when. And yes, it was very enjoyable. I'm glad that I read this because of that. Very, very glad. Another audio physical, and this would be Red Glove, which is the second one in the Curse Workers series by Holly Black. I just don't like this one as much as I like her fairy series. So this one was a 3.25 read. It is continuing Castiel's story. Castiel? The audiobook, though, was narrated by Jesse Eisenberg, which was kind of cool. But, I don't know, it didn't add as much to the story. He did get a bit more control over things. She can't talk that much. Okay, so this takes place in our world. There are people that are called workers, and these people are born with powers. There are, I think, 5 distinct types of workers. There's luck workers, memory workers, death workers, physical workers. Oh my god, I'm not describing this good at all. Castiel Sharp comes from a family of curse workers, people who have the power to change emotions, memories, and luck with the slightest touch of their hands. And since curse work is illegal, there are also criminals. But not Castiel. He doesn't have magic, so he's an outsider, the straight kid in a crooked family, except for the small detail that he killed his best friend, Lila, 3 years ago. Castiel has carefully built up a facade of normalcy, but his act starts to crumble when he finds himself sleepwalking, propelled into the night by terrifying dreams. Meanwhile, it becomes increasingly clear that his older brothers are keeping secrets from him. As Castiel begins to suspect he's an unwitting pawn in a huge con game, he must unravel his past and his memories to find the truth. Castiel will have to out-con the con men. So that's the first book's description for White Cat. I had to actually read the description. I could not describe it at all, apparently. It's an interesting series. It's an okay series. It just wasn't spectacular, I guess. Next was another 4 stars, and this was an audiobook called A Cruel Light by Cindy McMillan. This, I thought it was more of like a thriller suspense, but also, like, I swear when I first looked it up, that's what it said. But it apparently also in some places it's listed as a romantic horror. Okay though. This book though follows our main character, Honora, who is an art conservator, and she goes around the world retouching and reviving art that has been damaged by time and neglect. And she's called by a college friend, sorority sister, into a small town in Canada, because she does live near there anyway. She's Canadian. And her friend is the mayor of this town, and they are trying to redo a parsonage. They're transforming the old parsonage of the town into an art museum, because this is a town where a famous artist was born and lived, and he had an art school nearby, but it closed a long time ago. And so they're just trying to make this into a museum, and they found this painting, but just from the little bit that they can see of it, they believe that it has very big implications for an unsolved murder from 50 years ago. I don't know. That was the only thing that was weird. The amount of time it said versus how old some of the older characters were that were supposed to be around back then. I do think there was a disassociation there in the amount of time if it takes place present day. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, it was really good though. I did not see the ending coming. It was definitely very different. There was, though, some gaps of logic of like, well, if the killer's really trying to stop her from uncovering the truth, why is it just doing this or this? I mean, granted, they weren't trying to actually kill her at first. They were just trying to stop. There were other ways, though. There was really other ways. But as she, you know, keeps uncovering the secrets of the painting, more and more things are coming to light. Her and the police chief, lead, I think he's the police chief of the town. They work very closely together. They get very close. They form a relationship. And I do like the epilogue and how it shows that, you know, she is still living, you know, somewhere else, where Montreal, maybe? But, you know, she went back to her home there, and they're doing the long distance thing. It's very realistic in that aspect. I like that a lot. It wasn't just the book ended happily ever after. I like how it went. There were paranormal aspects of the book that I was not expecting. So be ready for that. And yes, it was good though. Listening to it definitely made me want to cry sometimes with just a few of the details that it brought up. Also be prepared for that. Otherwise, it was really good. Did not suspect the ending. Didn't suspect what was going to happen. Always a good time. Next would be the other 4.5 read of the month, which was RS4's Engines of Chaos. This is the sequel to Engines of Empire that came out last year. And this one, it went really well. What am I got the main character? I liked the journey that some of them went on. I still disliked the oldest brother. But this book follows the members of the Harksburg Guild family and actual Harksburgs themselves, because there are other people that are, of course, part of the Guild family that aren't Harksburgs, like lower peoples. But we follow our main character, Rosamund, the matriarch, the mother, as she is sending her kids off to each of the different parts of the empire to learn different parts and different trades. Like Connell, who is going... He's the military... He's not the heir. Exactly. I don't know. He's the oldest. He's the oldest son. He is part of their military fighting force that's part of the Guild's fighting force. And he and his group of the Talon, which is what they're called, are sent out to an outpost to, you know, do their tour of duty and all of this. I really dislike Connell. I really dislike it. He's very arrogant, know-it-all, anger issues, temper, I'm better, the. And then next we have Tyretta, the daughter, and she is the heir. She will be the one that takes over the guild and the logistics of everything from her mother. So she is sent off to an island where pyre stones are mined. Pyre stones are what powers the empire, because almost steampunkish, because okay, these stones, each color has a different property and will power the machines differently. Because they have machines, they have armored mechs kind of that the military people will wear. They have land ships, and so they're kind of like trains, but they call them land ships, and that face of it, I think they look like ships. And ships are also kind of powered by pyre stones. You know, this way they have, you know, motorboats and stuff. Other things, various mechanisms like elevators-ish, things like that. It's all powered by this, so it's very cool, which is what the youngest one, Thorin, he is an artificer, so he is very talented in the study of how the pyre stones work and making the artifacts that are used for it. Like, he is super, super talented. And he is actually staying in the capital with his mother to learn under the, I think it's the university there, or the master artificers that are at the palace. Because Rosamund, while matriarch of the Hartsburg Guild, is also the emperor's sister. So they're very close to the empire and the family that rules it. Things quickly deteriorate, though, for all of the Hartsburgs in the first book. In this one, we are still following their storylines as the events in the first book played out and went bad. Rosamund does change a lot in this book as she has to become this figure and like leader kind of. Connell, like I said, still don't like him, still don't like his storyline. I guess he got a little bit better, I'll give it that. Tyretta's storyline, she had more growth in the first book. This one was just kind of her on a quest, kind of exact. I did not like part of her storyline at the end. I did not like that. It was very undeserved. What happened to somebody that was part of her storyline. We also see from another perspective in this one that we didn't have in the first one, that I did not like their perspective. They were awful. Very awful. And there's another perspective as well in both books that is somebody that is connected to Rosamund. And yes, he's very important to them. But this one ended up being the best book of April by the numbers. I know this one and the other one were both 4.5, but in the more broken down numbers, this one ended up being the best book of April. So yay, it was enjoyable. Unfortunately, I didn't get to read or listen to the audiobook from this one from NetGalley, which was sad. I really wanted to hear the audiobook to go along with it. That I listened to was This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson. This one doesn't get a rating because it's a nonfiction, so I just generally don't rate nonfictions. I read this one though because of a video I'd seen by Reads with Rachel and her stance on it and how she actually went to talk to her local school board about it. And I must say I agree. I don't disagree a little bit with it. I just think that it's not age appropriate to the place that it was. That's all. Is it written okay? Yes. It's not the best written work ever, but you know, it is good for what it's trying to do, just not for that age range that brought up the whole issue. We'll move on though. And the last 4-star of the month was Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Cosmano. I also listened to the audiobook for this one because it's on script, and I thought I would like it more. I thought I was going to enjoy this series. It sounds as fun. And while I identify with Finley and her struggles with small children, like it starts out and I think he's 2, Zach is covered in syrup and touching everything. Oh my gosh. And her daughter is, for some reason, cutting her own hair. I don't know. If she's 5, it's like, oh yeah, struggles. I feel you. But then just the way things played out, it's like, oh my goodness. Okay, so Finlay Donovan is an author. I can't remember. I think she writes cozy mysteries, or I think she writes mysteries or romance mysteries. I don't remember. But she's been struggling to write her next book. Her agent keeps asking for it, asking for it, asking for it. She's going through, or she has already gone through a divorce. She's going through a custody battle with her ex, who's left her for the realtor. It wasn't even their realtor, I don't think, just one that lived down the road. And yeah, so he's trying to take her kids from her. She has no money. She's very, very broke. And she's just at her wit's end pretty much. And that morning, the babysitter doesn't show up. And the kids are going nuts. And so she just throws everything in her bag, including the knife that her daughter was using to cut her hair with. And she goes and meets her agent at a Panera. And a lady keeps looking at her weird and looking at her diaper bag that contains the knife. And all of a sudden, after pitching this story to her agent, which really she has no idea about, she hasn't written anything. No idea. She just hasn't written anything. And the lady overhears. And so when her agent leaves and it's like, okay, send me pages. You have to send me pages. We are missing our deadline. And she sees a note. Finlay sees a note, and it's like this woman's name and an amount. And she finds out. She contacts the number, and she's like, what? I don't understand. And the woman wants her to kill her husband for $50,000. Finlay's trying to figure out how to get out of this, how to get around it. But she does. She just goes and snoops on the husband to figure out what is this about. And he's actually a big creep, and things end up happening. And the rest of the story is Finlay and the nanny picking up the pieces. Great friendship is formed. Things do get a little bit better for Finlay financially and romantically. And yeah, I'm still not sure though about the bartender. I'm into the second book, and I don't know. It doesn't feel right. I mean, I get they don't want to go through the thing of her dating the cop. That's played out or whatever. But it's not even played out. It's just expected, so they don't want to do that in this book. I don't know. There's just some things that it's like this doesn't feel right, I guess. It was good. It was a fun time. I get why so many people like this series and talk about this series now. So it was very interesting. There were just some things that didn't quite feel like they went right. And the last book that I actually managed to finish in April was The Maze Runner by James Dasher. Yes, and this one ended up being a 3.75. It was only audiobook. I started this one because my son started this at school, and since I never read it and I knew they were all teenagers, I was like, I want to make sure what's in this. And it's a pretty good book. I mean, I will say that there is a few things that seem to have gone over his head, and that's okay. It's totally okay. This one centers though around our main character Thomas, who at the very beginning of the book wakes up in this unknown place with no memory as well, and surrounded by other boys. Everyone there in this place is a teenage boy, and they are just in this metal wall. I don't remember what the walls are right there, but it's in the green space that they call the Glade. And apparently they know that they are in the center of a maze, and every night the doors close, sealing them in, and the maze changes. And they are trying to find a way out of the maze, though. The oldest ones that have been there, not technically the oldest years-wise, but the ones that have been there longest have been there for 2 years, and they still have not found a way to escape. And every week, month, the place Thomas came out of, that they call the box, brings a new boy, and every week it brings supplies. But after Thomas comes, things start going weird, and he has like deja vu-ish feeling about stuff, and he knows he wants to be a runner, which is the group of people that go out into the maze, that try to map it and try to find a way to get them out of there, because each boy of course has to pull their own weight, do their own jobs. And most people have pushed back against Thomas, like, you're not special, you just got here, no, you know, nobody gets to do that. But things deteriorate very, very quickly, and they become in life and death situations and trying to learn and figure it out. And by the end of the book, things have completely changed. Completely. It is a very YA book, though. It reads YA for sure. but that's not a bad thing. It's not too bad of a thing. As long as you go into it not really expecting a different style, I guess, a different writing style than written for this, and phrases that they'll say is definitely teenage boy. And then the DNF. Okay, I'm gonna say the DNF because I did stop it in April. I don't think I tried any of it in May. This would be Perilous Times by Thomas D. Lee. I think that was what it was. I got to 75% of the arc, the ebook arc from NetGalley. It's very nice of them to give it to me. This one follows Kay, who is a knight of the Round Table, who apparently back then Merlin saw that Britain would be in peril through the ages, and so he convinced the Knights of the Round Table to let themselves be reborn after they died. And every time the realm is in peril, because of what Merlin did, they will reawaken from the earth and come to fight whatever is causing peril to the realm of Britain. So they have woken up several times through the centuries. We start out with Kay, who when he wakes up, he's very unsure of why he's woken up, because normally there's someone there to tell him what's going on, but there's not. And he quickly runs into Miriam, who is at a fracking facility in Britain. This is sometime in the future. I don't remember what year it says it is, but the ice has melted in the poles. The polar ice has melted and flooded most of Britain, flooded a lot of other places. Britain has actually been sold to mostly corporations and China. Yeah. I did like that Kay's perspective was quite different. It is not what you're expecting at all. I like some of the aspects of Miriam's group and what she stands for and how she wants to do more than her group wants to, but then she doesn't think things through. And that's what led to the wrong bombing, because the group actually voted her idea down in one of their meetings, because they meet and they vote on like the things they're going to do. Very democratic, but she says they take too long, that they're only ever talking, not doing enough action. They feed the people though that are in these refugee shelters, that are in these places that like the government has abandoned. The government's forgotten about these people, and her group actually feeds them, tries to take care of them. So they're a pretty good group overall. But the book is just slow. It's so much talking, more than action. And like I said, it doesn't make much sense. How is he supposed to fight climate change? It doesn't. And some of the other things, like Miriam's group, it's a feminist group, and how they hide from the people who would be trying to put them down as they are in when they set up their places at the refugee shelters and everything, they say that they are for female hygiene and stuff like that, so men never come and look at it. Is he author? Is he not married? Has he never met a married man or a dad? Because what guy isn't, that's like that, that's a good father or something to a girl, isn't going to go to this place to get something for their wife or their daughter that might need it? Sure. Like Kay even, he was respectful, like he, being from ancient times, he didn't quite understand all the words on what their thing said or where it was. He recognized that it was a female space, but he was not afraid to go in there. He's like, but okay, they're having a meeting and maybe it's kind of like a nunnery. Like I said, he didn't really understand. So he wasn't just going to barge in. So, I mean, how nobody other man had ever thought to politely try to enter this place and see what it is, because they weren't hiding at all. Okay, moving on. So yeah, I got 75% of the way through, and it was just making me, I really didn't want to read it. I was really unhappy with reading, and so I started A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes as an audiobook, and I was enjoying it so much. It was such a better experience, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop. Maybe from the feedback of other people who read the art, the finished product that comes out will be a little bit better, considering though it's coming out very soon. I don't know that it's going to be that much different, but I might finish the actual book if I can get it at the library. Maybe. Okay, I talked too long probably about this one too. that was everything from April that got done or, you know, not done. Let me know if your reading month came out better, if you got everything read that you wanted to, and if everything was enjoyable. Hopefully nothing was like, you know, almost reading slump inducing, irritating for you guys. If you haven't yet, I have the Mistborn Year of Sanderson box unboxing up, or any of the vlogs where I also kind of talked about my feelings about these books as I was reading them. If you would like, you can subscribe and come back for future reviews, unboxings, vlogs, general bookish content such as this. Oh my gosh. And I hope you're finding something awesome to read today. I'll see you later. Bye.